to respond to a commenter here who says that black men get into, or a lot of men get into relationships with women who they can afford. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. This commenter writes, a lot of men get into relationships with who they can afford because a lot of women don't date potential. And as their socioeconomic status elevates, their mate may not advance at the same rate or in the same direction as their partner. And that's a problem. In other words, my homeboy may have always been attracted to a white woman, but couldn't get with her at the time. So he dealt with a black woman, Akeisha. So I wanted to respond to this because I feel like this, my post that I had originally done on Kanye West, he's going to leave you when he gets with a white girl. I feel like there's a lot more nuances than that, and I feel qualified to speak on it as someone who's counseled many black men, and black women actually, but also black men who have talked about the phenomena of like, hey, I prefer to date white women, but they may have dealt with black women first. And I feel like this answer is more than he's just getting with someone that he can afford. But you want to ask yourself, why is he trying to afford a certain type of woman in the first place? In other words, why is he trying to buy his way into status? And that's really what it is. In my personal and clinical experience in dealing with black men who do this, and other men of other races who do this, what they're trying to do is get status, and they're trying to get validation, and there could also be other components such as health-hating blackness and other things like that. But what I've noticed from way back when Jordans and things like that would come out, men are trying to get status and elevate in society, and they're doing it to get the validation and approval of other men. Usually they're homeboys and all that kind of stuff. And they're also trying to socially climb their way through society. And it's kind of like they don't want to be associated, yes, with being poor. So they won't eat, soul food and things like that necessarily anymore unless they're at their mom's house. But they don't want to be associated with where they came from. More so, it's like, I want to now have the status and be looked at as like, rich and powerful and having resources. I want to be admired by other people. I want to be coveted by other people, namely other men. So I want to address the part specifically where you talk about what they can afford. It's not that they get with white women. Well, that's part of it. I do think that, yes, they get with, white women and women of other races that are considered exotic because they can afford them. But I want to address the part where you talked about he can only afford Keisha. It's not that he can afford Keisha. He could use Keisha or a black woman to help him build. In other words, he will utilize black women's and other black people's resources from the black community to get to where he wants to be. Because a lot of black women are very helpful. They're very communal. They're very much, they have the ideology of partnership. Like, yes, I want to work together. I want us to be a power couple. That is what a lot of black women think. Unfortunately, they are the only ones thinking that way. But he's telling her that in a lot of cases to get his resources. And that's the bullshit that Kanye West was on, and all these other men that are on, is that they're not being honest with black women, and they're using them. They're having these women go out and work and do all the other things, telling them that they can't show up for them, so that they could basically use them to step up onto their backs and get the resources that they want. They're not actually sharing. They're not actually building. What they're doing is they're giving black women an excuse about why they can't show up. And black women are still trying to support, help, as what we've been conditioned to do, to help a man, to build a man up and do all of this other kind of stuff. I'm not saying all, but I do think that there's a lot of black women that go through this period where they've been conditioned by family, society, and other men and so forth. Hey, help this man, help him get on his feet, help him get a job, help him do all these things, help put money in his pocket. If he can't do it, then you're not being a good enough partner. And so you need to step up and do things. That is why a lot of Black women get stuck in that masculine energy, as people like to call it, because they're so used to doing a lot of things to try and get ahead and helping their partner with doing things to get ahead. But unfortunately, when he gets ahead, he doesn't want to be with that anymore. He wants to be with someone that shows him that, yes, now he's got it, but he also wants to prove that with other people that now I've got it. Little do they know he didn't get it on his own. But I digress. To him, it doesn't really matter. But to a certain extent, it should matter, because the person you stepped on is the reason why you get into a certain place. Can you sustain that on your own? And a lot of times they find themselves in hot water. And it's every single time Black men who do this type of BS, when they find themselves in hot water with these women or with the community that they call themselves being a part of now, when they find themselves in hot water, aka legal trouble, guess where they go back to step on and suck all their resources out of? They go back to the Black community. And I'll give you an example. When Shannon Sharpe got in trouble, last year, where did you see him no less than a week later? You saw him doing the electric slide with a bunch of Black people. And that is the gamut that many find themselves in. They use. Here's something else I'll tell you. And while that woman, that status symbol, may help him look great, there's still a lot of relationship challenges that he has within that relationship. Take it from someone who's counseled a lot of men who have done this. There are still a lot of relationship challenges that he falls short of. And when he's falling short and that relationship is going sour, despite the fact that he publicly looks like he has the status symbol, trust and know that there's still a lot of suffering behind closed doors. And guess what? When they're suffering in that relationship, guess where their mind goes back to? Their mind goes back to the woman who built him up, was an emotional and financial and also a sexual crutch in a lot of places. And that's the thing that they don't tell you. See, Black women are not garbage. Even though they say, I don't want that, the minute that he encounters any type of hardship in his relationship of his status, he still is emotionally going back to, oh, we had this together and we had that. Mind you, that Black woman was the main reason that they had a lot of those resources. But they will never tell you that. But because I have counseled a number of men who have done this, including professional athletes, I have counseled a number of men who've done this. And so I will tell you, their mind will still go back to when they had it, when they actually had a partner, because while he's with that person for status, she is not usually a partner in the same way that his last relationship was. And part of what they have difficulty reconciling is still being drawn to the Black woman who provided them their world, while publicly facing and saying, I hate all Black women. So thanks so much for posting this. Love to know what your thoughts are. You guys take care. And this isn't meant to be disrespectful to anyone. I get it if this is not your experience and but I'm just telling you from what I know in my experiences.